The initial impulse is the moment when something awakens within the being and breaks through the surface of routine. It does not arrive as a brilliant flash, but as a subtle vibration, a feeling of inadequacy, a question that refuses to disappear, a small fracture in the apparent normality. It is the first sign that consciousness has begun to move, even before the being understands where that movement will lead. This impulse is born from the friction between what is lived and what is intuitively sensed. It is the discomfort before repetition, the uneasiness with what no longer makes sense, the perception that there is something greater waiting to be seen. It arises when the soul, weary of remaining compressed, begins to expand. The initial impulse is the most primitive call of consciousness, the warning that the inner journey is about to begin. At first, the being tries to ignore it. The crowd offers distractions, justifications, and ready-made explanations. But the impulse is persistent. It returns in the form of restlessness, curiosity, or a sudden courage that appears in unexpected moments. The courage that awakens within the being is the courage that allows it to perceive, with painful clarity, that divine justice, as it has been proclaimed and shaped by external structures, reveals itself, in truth, as a profound injustice. It is the realization that passively accepting this model is to participate in its distortion. Thus, the act of not rebelling becomes the quietest and, at the same time, the gravest form of complicity with that which oppresses the spirit. This impulse is a seed that, even when buried beneath layers of conformity, finds a crack of light and decides to germinate. The initial impulse is also marked by ambiguity. It brings fear and enthusiasm, doubt and certainty, resistance and desire. The being senses that something is changing, but does not yet know what. This ambiguity is essential. It prepares the spirit to leave familiar ground and accept the risk of transformation. The impulse does not push. It calls. Once finally recognized, the initial impulse becomes direction. It does not reveal the entire path, but it points toward the first step. And that step, though small, changes everything. It is the moment when the being ceases to be merely part of multiplicity and begins to move toward unity. The initial impulse is the spark that ignites the journey, the first weight added to the scale pan of rarity. Without this impulse, there is no transposition, no crossing, no rarity. It is the point of origin of every profound transformation. It is the moment when the being realizes that it is no longer merely living. It is awakening,